You're welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. As Nigerians go about celebrating the 62nd anniversary of the country's independence from Britain, there seems to be a lot to chew for everyone involved in Project Nigeria, including politicians of all orientations and the average man on the street. Nigeria, within the time under consideration, has seen an assortment of nation builders as well as looters of the Commonwealth. However, a critical role has been played by faith leaders from across the major religions in the country, who have continued to provide the moral fiber necessary for national development and integration. John Cardinal Onaiyekan is a retired Archbishop of the Catholic Archbishop of Abuja. He's also a member of the National Peace Committee. He joins us now. Good morning, Cardinal Onaiyekan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Onaiyekan.
Onaiyekan. Yes, sir.
It's a Yoruba name from. I'm from Kaba. For other Yorubas, we call it Onaiyekan, but
Onaiyekan. Well, I was going to guess that, but thanks for the clarification, sir. Good to have you on the morning show today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for inviting me for this occasion.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And happy Independence Anniversary, Cardinal Onaiyekan. Nigeria is 62 today. Well, I mean, we don't know from your end if you're celebrating. A lot of people will argue that what is there to celebrate? We just had a guest who said, is it a 62-year-old young man or a 62-year-old accomplished person? What's your perspective about Nigeria at 62? Yes, there are challenges. Yes, there are many things, to fix in nation building. But then do you think that it's been 62 years of regrets and no show? How would you describe and define Nigeria at 62, sir?
Well, thank you very much. The first thing I want to say is that maybe because of my calling, because of my orientation, the first thing we say is to say we thank God that we are still here. The mere survival of the nation is cause for celebration. And I started the day already with prayer to God. I went to the church. We had Mass at 7 o'clock in the Church of the Assumption, which is close to my house, and I presided over the Holy Mass. The Catholic Church has also decided that today will be we pray specially for Nigeria through our Mother Mary, Queen of Nigeria, and it's a solemnity according to our church practice. So let's say, while I'm told that our president was addressing the nation, I was there in the church talking to my God and telling him, thank you for keeping us this far, but please, we still need a lot of help, because the country needs to move differently, faster and farther. Now, I happen to be one of those who saw it from the beginning. On the 1st of October 1960, I was down in Lagos. At that time, it was called Race Course. I was sent down by my school, St. Michael's Secondary School, Alede. 3 of us, small young boys, were sent to witness the independence celebration. The idea was to get us really enthused about the whole idea for national independence. As a 17-year-old boy, I was extremely enthusiastic. And I was just looking at that British Union Jack being brought down and the blue, green, white, green flag being hoisted. And we started singing the Nigerian anthem, the old one in those days. And I left Lagos very proud of myself, because we were made to believe that with independence, Nigeria will become great like other great nations, like Britain, like Germany, like France, like United States. And I think we believed it. And we started probably on the right footing, but unfortunately, very quickly, things begin to turn sour. So when I look back now, this is 2 years. I'm now 79. I'm 78 years now, soon to be 79. When I look back, I will just simply say we have seen too many ups and downs. Too many ups and downs. Our country has not had the opportunity to develop its institutions in a very coherent fashion. There have been too many breaks, too many obstacles, too many accidents. And the last since 1999, we started this experiment, can I say, the third experiment at democratic rule. And what we have been seeing since 1999 until now, so some people are saying that we have been improving, but I'm afraid my own reading is that we have not been improving sufficiently. But one good thing today, 2022, I am one of those who believe that there is something special with this year. Apart from the fact that it is 62nd anniversary of our independence, it is also an election year. Now, every election is an opportunity for the nation to make a turnaround. This time, we have another opportunity now. And there seems, from my own opinion, what I'm seeing around, there is something in the air. There's a wind blowing, a wind of not just of change, but a wind of improvement in the way we rule ourselves. We are going to have a different kind of election in 2023. And I'm praying to God that we do not mess up this chance, because if we do, it will be difficult to recover.
All right, Cardinal Onaiyekan, sounds like a very positive outlook there. But with some hindsight, let's take a look at the topic of identity politics. Now, the First Republic Federation, which was structured along ethno-geographic fault lines, inevitably gave rise to a political culture of ethnic, regional, and religious identity. And with identity politics being entrenched in the polity, this means that the democratic leadership recruitment process of Nigeria's leaders will be primarily determined by primordial sentiments of ethnicity, region, and of course, religion. Do you see a future Nigeria that could possibly deviate from this conditioning, or is that in fact what defines us?
Our primordial identities are not anything we can do anything about. It is given. I happen to be born in Kaba, so I'm a Yoruba man. And I was born into a Catholic, very deeply religious Catholic home, so I am a Christian Catholic. These are my identity. The question is not so much with the identity, but what we do with it. And being a Yoruba man, I know that I belong to a nation called Nigeria, in which there are other people who are of a different ethnic groups, and together we should be able to build a beautiful nation. Being a Christian, my own brand of Christianity, is the kind that respects everybody else and recognizes that we all worship one God. And if we worship one God, we should feel like we are in a family in which we have one Father, the Heavenly Father, creator of heaven and earth, and the rest of us are his children. We are all his children. And of recent, this is being stressed, even at the highest level of Christianity and Islam, when we are talking now about human fraternity, that human beings, our differences are there. They are important. They are even beautiful. But at the end of the day, we are brothers and sisters. If we can say that on the universal level, how much more on the level of our small little country called Nigeria? I'm optimistic because, like I said, I was there at the beginning in 1960 as a 16-year-old boy. And I've seen how we have danced often to the brink of chaos and somehow managed to dance back. And this dancing to the brink of chaos and dancing back cannot continue indefinitely because it can be dangerous. We might just fall over at any time. But I think we ought to have learned our lessons. We had 30 years of military rule, and perhaps one good lesson we learned is that we cannot rule ourselves on the basis of the gamble of soldiers who carry guns. So we have put aside military rule. We hope so, because some countries are still going through those, are still trying those experiments of military rule. So we have decided that we shall rule ourselves like all modern nations do in a democratic dispensation, which is why our handling of our democratic institutions is extremely important. We don't have any plan B. There's no plan B to how Nigeria will be great. And if we cannot manage ourselves well, then we cannot move. Our resources will not be of any use, whether it is human or natural resources. Here we are, the choice is ours. And in this case, there's a great responsibility of all those who have always put themselves forward, telling us that they want to rule us, they want to manage our affairs, that they must do well. The impression I'm getting around is that many Nigerians feel that we are not where we should be. And I'm one of them, that we should be better than we are now, after 62 years, with the kind of resources God has given this country, with the kind of human beings that God has put in this place. We have no, we can, we are no better, we are as good as any other group of people, maybe even better than them. Look at the way Nigerians are performing abroad. Those of them who have escaped from our country, they are performing very well and developing other people's economy and other people's nation. Where will they come back home? When shall our environment be such that you can perform, you can thrive, using your national talents without having to be conditioned by where you are born, by how you worship, by what language you speak? These are issues that by now, after 62 years, we should become wiser about. And it's a great responsibility. What I see around us now is that more Nigerians are getting interested in politics. More Nigerians are getting interested in politics. For a long time, we have left it to those group of people we call the politicians, as if they are the experts in the management of our affairs. Well, if they claim to be experts, they have not been very good experts. So more people should join now, and new people should join. We should have different ways of looking at things, because we cannot continue to dance around in the same circle and expect anything to change. We cannot change if we keep doing exactly the same thing. So now we have to let there be room for different ways of doing things, different political parties, different faces. That's what we are expecting during this year of the election. Elections are crucial. They are very important. And that is why the institutions that manage the election are very important. The INEC, somehow, unfortunately, the system we have for putting together the INEC has not really been that will ensure real independence, impartial umpires. Professor Mahmoud may be trying his best, but the fact is that the first thing that we need to look at is how to reconstitute the INEC in such a way that it is really independence, not only at the national level, but also at the state and local government levels. These are just issues. The issue of the security is there, but I don't think it is beyond us. Nigeria is strong enough to defend itself. If only we are sincere, if only we are honest, if only we are serious. As far as the actual processes of government is concerned, we've made rules for ourselves. The rules are not working too well. Sometimes the problem is with the rules. We should have the courage to change them. What do we have a National Assembly for if they are not able to look at our laws and make the proper adjustments? These are all issues that are within our control, and we have not done sufficiently. But we still have hope, and I really believe that this country will be greater than it is now.
All right, Cardinal Onaiyekan, thanks so much for the perspective that you are sharing with us on this important day in Nigeria. But I would like to ask you, sir, 62 years ago, as a 17-year-old boy, when you were there, the first line of the national anthem was "Nigeria, we hail thee." I'm not sure.
Nigeria,
we hail thee.
Our own dear native land.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
No tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. That was a beautiful anthem. I don't care who drafted it. I don't care who composed it. it was a very beautiful anthem.
Indeed.
And we sang it with gusto.
Absolutely.
It was certainly much better than God Save Our Gracious King, which is what we sang so long until that day.
Absolutely. I mean, I was not there when you sang it 62 years ago, but then it is still my own personal favorite. But today, what we sing is Arise, O Compatriots. My question to you, sir, is that given what is happening in our land, in our country, what do you think as we approach 2023 that Nigerians should rise to? A lot of people believe, especially the youth that you mentioned, believe that if we get it wrong, their last recourse will be to Japa. Japa, as you may be aware, sir, is just to live here and elope and move elsewhere. As a matter of fact, we have heard from a man of God, or shall we say a man of the pulpit, saying that there must be a plan B for every Nigerian, that if things don't go right here, make sure that you have a plan B. So my question to you, sir, is that what should Nigerians rise to when we sing Arise, O Compatriots this time? Elections are in about 5 months, and you alluded to the fact that there seems to be a wind blowing, a wind of change maybe. And I'm asking, how articulated is this wind that you alluded to? Or is it a batified wind? Or is it like it is said in the scriptures that, the spirits of the prophets should answer to the prophet? Is it an obedient wind? What do you see, sir? How should we take this wind of change that is about to blow?
I am not going to fall into the temptation that you are trying to drag me into right now.
I apologize, sir. Thou shalt not tempt.
There is one fact.
All right,
there is one fact. The fact is, for so long, let us be frank, looking at the situation as it was, we have been ruled by 2 major political parties up till now. It has been one or the other, one or the other. Now we have reached a stage where we must go beyond the 2 major political parties. We have to go beyond it. And in actual fact, when we did the signing of peace accord the other time, there were quite a large number of political parties, more than about 14 of them. So the parameters are there, out there. The only thing is, how is it going to work? Nigeria, our political system has been bedeviled with voter apathy. It is very strange that for many of our elections, only very few registered voters bother to go to vote. Now, I think that will change. So there's going to be a large number of new people who will go to vote who have not bothered before to vote. They are going to go because they believe that this time around there is a choice. There is a way of we will make a difference. There's also a great trust in the system that INEC will do what it's supposed to do, namely referee the election, manage the election, get the elections done so that it will be free, fair, and credible. The ceremony of the signing of the accord was largely focusing on the political parties and their followers and supporters. But that is only one part of the story. Apart from the politicians who are vying for positions in the elections, there is also those who are supposed to manage the election. That is the Independent National Electoral Commission. We also have the security agents who are going to be deployed in their thousands. And they are presumably to make the nation safe and peaceful for us on that occasion. They too have a responsibility to do their work professionally and impartially. Government and the government in power has a responsibility to make sure that Nigerians have a free and fair election. This is the tricky part of it, because the government is also a party in this contest. Namely, the APC government is a party in this contest and is contesting with other political parties. How can we make sure that it does not manipulate the system in such a way that they ensure victory for themselves? You know, that is the problem with Africa, that rulers never really think they should lose. They think that if a ruler loses, it is his fault, he's stupid. He should, and he should be able to cut it as he likes. That is what has brought us to where we are and what we're going to take us down if we don't change that. We must find a way that such that we make a government, there has to be a government, and the ruling party that is just one of the people standing the election. How they are going to get this done is what we are looking at very, very carefully. And I think they ought to know. They ought to know. INEC, security agencies, our government, they ought to know that there are millions of Nigerians now who are alert, who are watching, and who are not going to take it lying low if things are not done well. I am not giving any threat, and I'm not in a position to give any threat, but I'm rather appealing that they should realize that Nigerians want a free and fair election, and they have every right to have it. And those who have any say in that must also make sure they do their part. The whole responsibility goes even to the judiciary. Even to the judiciary, who, in our experience, have had probably a larger than size role in determining. But very often, election results are contested, and they land on the table of the judges, and they eventually end up being the ones to decide who will be the winner. And that is not really how it should be. The election should be decided by the electorate and the electoral commission, not by judges. But right. In our own situation, where we do things wrongly and badly, then you have this kind of situation where we rely on the judges. But when we do rely on the judges, they should also do their work well.
All right. Cardinal Onaiyekan, you touched quite deeply on a number of cogent issues earlier. But one you're yet to get into in detail is that of corruption on a national scale outside of the elections here in this regard, which, in spite of some efforts by this administration, almost appears to be normalized by culture, rationalized by intellectuals, and then affirmed by the wider system. Very briefly, please, how would you assess this issue, especially ahead of next year's elections? And also, do you see an eventual end to it in sight? What will it take to get there?
I'm not sure I have really understood your question, but you did mention about corruption.
Yes, please, on a national scale, in terms of the countries, how the country is perceived outside, internationally.
Corruption has to do with honesty, with playing according to the rules, with doing things properly, and it goes all across the board. And when we find that officials of INEC are taking money to manipulate the system, that is massive corruption. You find that the security agencies, the policemen and soldiers make themselves amenable to all kinds of gifts. All that is corruption. In the process, our peace committee has had sessions with the service chiefs, that is IAG, and the service chiefs of the Nigerian military. This is talking with people at the very top. Every one of them have assured us that everything will be done properly. Well, they can only say so. At the end of the day, the reality will be what happens on the ground. because by the time these large numbers of uniformed and armed people are deployed to every nook and cranny of the country, we just have to pray that they will all be able to do their work as they should do. And this is very, very important indeed. Because when you are not safe, you won't even go out to vote. Or when you go out to vote and things go wrong and nobody is there to say, why are you doing this? Then chaos sets in and the whole game becomes a problem. We have been talking about corruption in Nigeria, and I think we cannot stop talking about it until we reduce it to at least a manageable proportion. I don't think there's any country in which there is no corruption. But in our own case, it becomes more serious when those who are supposed to tame corruption seems to be also the ones promoting it in the highest possible way. Let me give an example. From what I'm hearing, a lot has been said about oil theft. And which is corruption at the highest level.
Yes.
And it is not as if we are talking about people going with a bucket or a jerry can to carry away crude oil. No, we are talking of tankers departing from our country with our crude oil that have been paid for, but the money has not gone to the proper place. Now, who is responsible for tankers coming in and out? And if those people are corrupt, then we have a big problem on our hands. So
all right, Cardinal.
Sure.
All right, Cardinal, sir. Yes. We're struggling with time here, and it looks to me like, we've got just a minute left. But I thought that I should ask you just 1 minute, okay. If you don't mind, sir. Yes, just this last question, because it concerns your territory, if you like. Bishops have been dragged into the political space in the last few weeks, few months. We've seen different cassocks, being won. We've even heard from one particular bishop of collecting transport fare. What others, in different climes will call thanks for coming, from a particular candidate. My question, sir, just a brief one, is that do you think that the garment of the Lord has been desecrated by what we have witnessed so far, or do you think that the heavenlies are speaking to us in a different format, given what's happening to so-called bishops fraternizing, hobnobbing with men of politics? Just 1 minute, sir.
Well, as you know, Nigeria, once you talk about religious leaders, we are in very, very nebulous territory. There are all kinds of people who parade themselves as religious leaders. I belong to the Catholic Church. You cannot be a bishop unless the Pope has appointed you, and we know who is a bishop. But it's not like that for every other person. They like and wear. At the end of the day, by their fruits we shall know them. By their fruits we shall know them. Unfortunately, I see it as a price we have to pay for our religious freedom. People are free to call themselves any title that they like. But eventually, if you see somebody behaving in a way that you don't expect of someone who claims to be a man of God, then obviously the person has disqualified himself or herself. And so this discussion about the behavior of religious leaders is a very difficult one, because you cannot generalize. There are so many kinds of religions. And not only are we Christians and Muslims, but within Christianity and Islam, there are all kinds of differences. And so I cannot speak for anybody except myself and my group. Other people have to speak for themselves. I believe firmly that religion should have a positive role in all that we have been discussing. Because religion is to promote honesty, justice, good governance, and the fear of God.
Absolutely,
if we do that as religious leaders, we would have
understood. And as we struggle there technically, we want to thank you so much, Cardinal Onaiyekan. I hope I have pronounced that close to correctly. Thank you so much, Onaiyekan. Onaiyekan. There we go. Many thanks for joining us this morning, and have a lovely day ahead. It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return, we will review top stories in today's newspapers. Stay with us.